Have you ever been bullied before? During this time, you may have many emotions running through your mind. You may feel hopeless, like it'll never end. You might get angry and yell at your sister or brother for no reason, returning evil back to the bully. You try to ignore the problem, but what if the problem does not go away? A young man named Jospeh had the same problem. All of his brothers did not like him. Jospeh had a dream and told his family about his brothers will bow down to him. His brothers became more angry toward Jospeh because of the dream and how his father treated him differently than the rest. At one moment they had a chance to take his life, but Reuben said to his brothers, "Let us not kill him." And Reuben said to them, "Shed no blood, but cast him into this pit, which is in the wilderness, and do not lay a hand on him." They decided not to kill, but rather to sell Jospeh, so he can be a slave. The brothers pulled Jospeh up and lifted him out of the pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver, and they took Jospeh to Egypt. Now the Midianites had sold him in Egypt to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and a captain of the guard. Jospeh had it rough at first. Then Potiphar began giving tasks, leading others. One day Potiphar's wife lied about Jospeh. Jospeh went to prison for the lie that Potiphar's wife made up. Even though Jospeh was in prison, God blessed him. The Lord was with him, and whatever he did, the Lord made it prosper. While in prison, 2 inmates had dreams. God gave Jospeh wisdom to explain their dreams to them. The chief butler dream was about being restored to the palace. However, the chief baker was to receive death. A couple of years went by, and Jospeh was still in prison. Pharaoh had a dream, and no one had the interpretation. The chief butler told Pharaoh about how Jospeh interpreted his dream and the chief baker's dream, and how both came true. Pharaoh sent for Jospeh and told him about his dream. Jospeh told Pharaoh about how God has shown him what is about to take place. Jospeh tells Pharaoh that for 7 years the harvest will be good, but after that, for 7 years, then comes a famine. Then Pharaoh said to Jospeh, "Inasmuch as God has shown you all this, there is no one as discerning and wise as you." For 7 plentiful years came, so he gathered up all the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities. He laid up in every city the food of the fields which surrounded them. So all countries came to Jospeh in Egypt to buy grain, because the famine was severe in all lands. Now Jospeh was governor over the land, and it was he who sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brothers came and bowed down before him with their faces to the earth. Jospeh recognized his brothers, but they did not recognize him. Jospeh told one of his servants to hide a cup in the youngest boy's sack. It was a trick to see how his brothers will react. Once Jospeh saw that they did not want to see the youngest brother go to be a slave in Egypt, he saw their love for him. Moreover, hearing of the sorrow that the brothers had from selling their brother long ago, he wept out loud, and the Egyptians in the house of Pharaoh heard it. Then Jospeh said to his brothers, "I am Jospeh. Does my father still live?" But his brothers could not answer him, for they were dismayed in his presence. Jospeh told them, "God sent me before you to preserve a posterity for you in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance." Pharaoh told Jospeh, "Bring your father and your households and come to me. I will give you the best of the land of Egypt, and you will eat the choicest produce of the land." And Israel said to Jospeh, "Now let me die, since I have seen your face, because you are still alive." Jesus told this parable about those who trust in him. "Well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord." Probably times where Jospeh felt hopeless, as he was sold by his brothers and thrown into prison because of Potiphar's wife told a lie about him. Joseph saw that God was with him, even while going through these troubles. What if, when Joseph desired to return evil as they gave to him, then would Joseph ever be able to see his father again? Joseph would never have known of their guilt. If Joseph chose to keep his heart hardened toward his brothers, he would never have enjoyed his family ever again. Joseph recognizes that God put him in these circumstances, and it is the same as wherever God has put you and me. If you are getting bullied, or you are the one that is a bully, there is hope. The first step is knowing that God is with you, and then ask for His strength in your life, the same strength that rose Jesus from the dead. Before we know it, the Lord will heal our hearts by His Spirit through His Word. Our flesh, that is, our sin nature, desires for us to act in fear and anger with trusting in ourselves. But turn and press into the Lord Jesus, and you will see His strength in the middle of hopeless situations. Life might seem despairing, and what we are going through will never end, but God has a reason for the place He has put us right now. And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to His purpose. Relax, we're going to mess up. It might make everything a disaster. Don't worry. Mount back up and seek the Lord, and let Him bring His peace over you. Then go back out into the battle and see His faithfulness. Again, you will mess up. However, we are looking for God's faithfulness in our lives, not ourselves.